Hi friends, today we are finishing up the cleaning part of the Doom Room. Stay tuned to the end for the before and afters of this room. Now if you didn't see the first video where I started on this room, I will link it above and in the description below. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on why I am the way I am, how I plan to move forward, some changes I'm going to be making, and why I have not been as active the last couple of weeks. Now, fair warning, there will be some vulnerable moments, and if you are feeling like your home is overtaking you, just know you are not alone, and we're going to get through this together. As I was working in this room surrounded by what seemed like insurmountable piles, I was taking the time to reflect on why these choices had been so hard for me to make. Now, if you recall from the first video, I had been using this room as a delayed decision room. It was a room where I put items when I could not make the decision in that moment. I reflected on my childhood and the environment in which I lived. It was never cluttered per se, but there was always stuff. My mom kept our house tidy, and my sister and I had chores to do, which we attended, and life was mostly happy. Yet, looking back now, I felt ill-equipped to handle my own home. My apartments were always messy, though I actually did yearn for order. When I got married and we merged two homes into one, we were both overwhelmed with stuff. And 2.5 years later, after we got married, tragedy struck and we lost 99% of our belongings in a devastating house fire. When we bought our next home, our minds had not adjusted to the fact that we did not have all of those possessions, and we bought a house twice the size of the one that had burned down. And remember, we had nothing. Now it was a beautiful home, and as time went on, we filled that beautiful home. Most of the large furniture that is in our current home came from that home, which of course was a much larger home, and I'm finding I'm having a hard time parting with this furniture. Though it has been 16 years, which is just incredible to me because it doesn't seem that long, since we lost our original home, I find the wound is still there. I remember picking out all this furniture and taking great care with our choices. When you lose everything, even the simplest of purchases, like clothes hangers, stand out.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now there's something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Dreamy, breezy, we go. Easy, easy on our tiptoes. Undercover, agents of the other. Beyond gravel, beyond all.
This one's hard for me. Okay. All right, donation bin before I lose my nerve. That basket was one of the first things we bought for our kiddo when we brought him home from the hospital. I still remember picking it out, organizing it, refilling it 1,000 times. And it is such a strange thing to have a hard time over, but it was really hard to pass on. And even as I'm editing this video, I'm getting choked up all over again. During this whole process, that has been the only thing that I have shed a tear over. But I know someone else will love it as much as we have and get more use out of it. So now I'm packing away possessions as I unpack my feelings and attachments. It is difficult to explain because while I don't have a sentimental attachment to my possessions outside of the furniture, it is still hard for me to remove them because I know what it feels like to have nothing. And I actually don't want to go back to having nothing. I just want to go back to having less. So as I'm going through these items, I remind myself that I will never need a used workbook again. Someone else should use my coloring books rather than them sit on the shelf. And holding on to an item just in case I might need it one day is silly, especially if I have not used that item in more than a year. Now, that is not to say that I'm just throwing caution to the wind and ditching everything. That's not the case. Rather, I'm taking the advice that I tell my son. When you have so many things, you don't appreciate what you have. I'm taking some time to really look at our possessions and taking the time to really look at what we use and what we appreciate. And when they don't meet that criteria, I'm passing on those possessions to someone who can use them. I will never, I won't say never, but it is highly unlikely that I will ever be a minimalist, nor do I wish to be. I just wish for a simpler living space with possessions that I truly treasure or need, rather than living with the fear that in a span of 20 short minutes, they could all be gone. With a simpler living space comes calmer moments with my family, more time spent doing activities like going to Moody Gardens or the Space Center, and less time stressing over the next room to be cleaned. I want to make memories with my family and be present rather than uttering the phrase, "I'm sorry I can't play with you right now. Mom has to clean the kitchen." I want my focus to be on my family and not trying to keep the house managed because of too much stuff. So here I sit, working through all of these emotions and thoughts and keeping my mind focused on the end goal, which is simpler, more mindful living and less managing of needless possessions that are neither treasured nor useful for us. Life is complicated enough without adding in the pressure to manage items that are rarely used. I don't know where this journey will take me, but I hope it brings me to a happier place mentally with less stress, less pressure, and more time to do the things that I enjoy, such as crocheting or sitting on our back patio reading or hanging out with my sweet husband and wonderfully awesome kid. The flood of emotion that this process has created has taken me quite by surprise. Part of it is stress relief, knowing that so much stuff is leaving our home. And some of it is dread, knowing that I still have so much farther to go in this process. What you don't know is that during this whole decluttering process, so for the first, 3 months of this year, we have been dealing with some pretty stressful medical issues with our kiddo, and that is just compounding everything. As strange as it sounds, this decluttering project has actually been a blessing, as it has allowed me to focus my mind on other things for brief periods of time. Most of the footage that you see was shot long after kiddo went to bed, as it was the only time I had to film and edit. And in those moments, I could finally slow down and just breathe. Just breathe as I went through basket after basket. My emotions at times would get the better of me, but not because of the items I was sorting, but just rather the stresses of life in that moment.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I watch you as you sleep. You don't know I'm looking. With you everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling, I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking?
I began taking most of the items off of the big bookcase because I wanted to sort and combine when possible. My goal was not to get rid of any homeschooling stuff, yet I need to see what I have before I can part with what we do not use or need. Likely I have some things that can serve more than one purpose. I like the question by Josh Becker. What would I use if I didn't have it? We have been so conditioned to believe that we need specific things for specific purposes, and granted, part of that is true. There are some items that would be pretty hard to substitute in our home, but for the most part, I think my family needs to start looking at what can pull double duty. Okay, so before I just start randomly putting stuff in here, let's think through what we're going to do. So I know I want puzzles and games on this shelf, but what I don't like is that I have these bags that are really floppy and they don't really work really well. So one of the things that I do love about my shelf, how I generally organize my shelf is I utilize these hefty 6.5 quart bins and I label them, which is really nice because like right now I know that brain flakes are supposed to be in here, but brain flakes are just in a random bag, so I need to get these put back in here. But I like having these bins because it makes everything uniform and it also allows them to stack nicely. So what I think I'm gonna do for the games and puzzles, like these are puzzle pieces and puzzles, for the ones that are just in baggies like this, I'm gonna start a list on my phone of how many of these totes I need to pick up at Lowe's. And the cool thing is like the puzzles, I can go ahead and still keep them in their bags, but just put them in a tote so that the puzzle pieces stay separate, but I can put multiple pieces in here and the bags aren't getting torn up. It's stacking nicely. Same with the games. I can keep the games in their bags, but put the bags in a bin and just label it games and maybe, you know, like Minecraft Uno or word dominoes or, you know, something like that. I don't like stuff just falling all over the shelf, which is what I have right now. And I want to be able to clearly put stuff back where it goes, take stuff out. So if I only need the building blocks on a particular day, I just pull out the building blocks, use them. When we're done with them, we put the building blocks back in here and they have a space on the shelf and they're not just falling everywhere. So I'm going to not put the stuff that's in bags maybe directly back on the shelf for right now because I need to figure out how many bins I need. And also for things like the counting bears, they are actually in their own container, but again, it's kind of an odd shaped container. I would like to put all of the manipulatives, the math manipulatives, like the counting cubes, the counting bears, the math cubes, things like that. I would like to put them all in one bin that just says math manipulatives, and then I can just go from there and get those straight out. So that is what I'm gonna do. So let's get started after I answer my text. Did you know that the average American home has 300,000 items in it? 300,000 items. I'm pretty sure we have that just in Legos. Now, I know for certain I don't have the capacity to care for that many items, and I have proof just by looking at my home. So for my mental health and that of my family, we are embarking on this simpler living lifestyle. Again, notice I did not say minimalist because one, that word doesn't necessarily have a standard definition. And two, I do want to make sure we keep the things that we love, use, and appreciate. That might mean keeping my teddy bear that I've had since I was 3, or going and getting that basket out of the donation bin and repurposing it in our dining room as a linen holder. As you can see, even through this video, I'm working through my process. I still have not absolutely decided to part with that basket, but if I cannot find an actual use for it, a legitimate actual use, not just a, hey, I'm keeping it to keep it, then it's going to move on. Have you ever walked into a model home and felt instantly calmer? When you were in a hotel room, do you feel less stressed? Think about what those two places have in common. For me, both of those places are clean, clutter-free, and usually nicely decorated. I've been told that it's not really realistic for my home to look like a model home, and that is partially true. However, I think it is possible to recognize what it is about those spaces that make us feel calmer and more at ease. Dishes are not all over the sink. There's not laundry piled on the floor. The home is tidy. The room is tidy. Even in the mocked up kids' rooms, there are usually toys neatly in a bin and clothes hanging in the closet. My journey will never end, just as laundry is never ending. I expect my journey to get easier over time, and hopefully I can instill in our kiddos some healthy habits along the way. I know from reading many comments on my videos that there are many of us who have homes that look like mine, and maybe even worse. Just know that you're not alone. Your home does not need to look Pinterest ready all the time. I mean, clearly mine never does. However, you do deserve to not be controlled by your possessions, just as I deserve to not be controlled by my possessions. What I'm finding is that my possessions tend to control my stress levels more than I care to admit and have a huge impact on my mental health. I deserve to treat myself and my family better, and my friend, you deserve more as well. Even if it's just setting a timer for 5 minutes, I really encourage you to find a spot, the edge of a dresser or an end table, and just work that spot for 5 minutes. As time goes on and you feel ready, maybe go for 10, and you and I will keep moving forward together at our own respective paces. Now, this room has been cleaned and cleared of what does not belong, and we are going to begin building the desk and shelving that will be in this room to help keep it organized. Now, you're going to see that in a few episodes coming up, but our next episode is going to be on tackling our garage. And I definitely want to get that done before it gets way too hot here in Southeast Texas. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and let's enjoy these before and after pictures together.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up, and we just sing along.